The John Lebang Show has been known to make people laugh, sing, think, scream, throw things in rage, and generally lose their minds. Listener discretion is advised.
Worldwide and out to the greater universe, you're listening to The John Lebang Show.
Hey folks, welcome back to The John Lebang Show. Thank you for joining me. We had the big Democratic opening debates this past week. And I know all of you are waiting with bated breath to hear my analysis of what happened there. Even though you've heard the pundits and you've heard all the talking heads on all the stations already talking about it, because it's been one of the bigger stories of the week. How Harris attacked Joe Biden. She got the best of him. Biden had a bad outing. You heard all those commentators out there discussing how that happened. See, I see it a little different. See, Uncle Joe up there, Mr. Touchy-Feely Joe, they don't want that. They've been really trying to keep that side of his history on the down low. And I think in this opening debate, when most of the stuff will be forgotten down the road, because we got 3,472 different Democrats running for one office, because everybody thinks they're qualified, when we really, as we look at the panels that we've seen this past week, I don't know how many are even qualified to get a job at McDonald's. But that's just me. I think what they were doing was focusing on something that was so long ago to get you off the idea of Joe being the Mr. Touchy-Feely that he is with little girls and women and such. And this was a way for the Democrat Party, because they kind of know which way they want to go, just like they did in the 2016 elections. They had an idea who they want to challenge Donald Trump with. So with that in mind, I think they set this up so Touchy-Feely Joe has something that really didn't matter a whole lot back in the past. Now, some people are going to take offense with that because it matters the busing and all that. But I think it was used by the Democrat Party in the opening debates to just take the light off of some of Uncle Joe's worst parts of his life and past, and touch on other things that probably don't matter anymore. But Uncle Joe's touchy-feely. He's always going to be touchy-feely. And they don't want anybody to focus on that. But that was just one thing. Now, as we look over the rest of the candidates that are attempting to rise to prominence, all I saw was peddling of hatred and peddling of freebies. That's all they have on the Democrat Party. They don't know how to solve anything, but what they do know how to do is promise things that they will either implement if they have the power, which means more taxation, because practically everybody on that panel was spouting one form or another of socialism. Taxes were going to go up with most of their proposed agendas. I mean, how else could they implement those except with more taxation on the American people? Apparently, they're not in favor of having tariffs on foreign goods. That was another thing I took away from there. And maybe we'll touch on some of the major items that I noticed coming from the candidates. Because you've heard all the analysis from the Foxes and the CNNs and the MSNBCs. Everybody's giving you their talking points on who did well and what happened and all that. Thing that I noticed, and it really hasn't been brought up much, is practically everybody on those panels were racially motivated in one way or the other, for whatever reason. A great deal of them, especially when they were talking about health care for illegal aliens, a great deal of them raised their hand and said they'd give free health care to illegal aliens. And I believe, just from what I saw of the debates, that most of those people up there, they're not in favor of keeping the demographics of this country the same. They're in favor of changing the demographics of this country. That's my opinion, of course, but by their words, their actions, they're obsessed with race. They have no problem with changing the demographics of a country. You have to wonder why that is. And don't tell me it's because they're fair and honest and they want it. No, there's a reason you change the demographics of a country. And it's because you're trying to achieve a goal. Now, according to them and my understanding of what they were saying, they think the American people are too incompetent to take care of themselves if they so need it. And they need a mommy and a daddy to run their life. They want to give away free this, free that, everything just given away. Of course, that's going to cost a lot of money. Going back to what I said earlier, they're going to have to get it from somewhere. And since they're not in favor of tariffs and higher import rates for China and all those, because they think that's a bad thing, or at least it's a bad thing because Trump's doing it. Maybe they would do it themselves if they were in office, but we have to wait to see if that's the if that remains to be seen. Now, they're also in favor of sexual perversion, or they're very interested in it. They're not interested in protecting the borders whatsoever. Not one of them are truly interested in that, because they want people coming in from different countries here illegally. They don't care. They're just trying to import as many people as possible. And when you give them a bunch of free stuff, as they're promising, especially, what was the one guy speaking in Spanish for? That's insulting as far as I am concerned, but, some people would think me being insulted is a problem too. They were pandering to irresponsibility in all this. And that was kind of my takeaways from the Democrat, first set of debates, that, I don't know, it was so unimpressive. It got a little fiery in the second one with Harris and Biden, but overall it was And nobody is proposing any real solutions. They're just talking about throwing money at things, which does nothing for solving anything. And the only way you're going to get that money is by taking more from the people who are the hard workers of the country, the people who pay into the taxes. Of course, they want that health care for all. Why don't we ever have a candidate that says no taxation for all? Why can't we ever get a candidate like that? They just want varying degrees of taxation. depending on their political stance and how much they want to achieve and feel good about. When they're all done after 40 or 50 years in office, they can look back and go, man, I was such a great public servant. I made myself millions of dollars. Then Jimmy Carter, probably the worst president in my lifetime, says Trump is an illegitimate president. Jimmy Carter, the worst president in my lifetime, says Trump is illegitimate. Okay. In fact, out of the, 1, 2, 3, 4, out of the last 5 presidents, Jimmy, you and Bush are the only 2 that didn't get reelected. People didn't want your stuff anymore. So although there's a lot of people who love Bush Sr. And in all this, when you see the after reporting, you're going to get the one bias or the other, right? You're going to get the right-wing slant or the left-wing slant on all this. They didn't touch on... Did you hear one question on the national debt, which is nearly $22 trillion, if we haven't already surpassed that? The economic numbers look pretty good for Wall Street. They didn't want to talk too much about that. They left that alone because that would favor Trump, even though I don't think that's entirely Trump's doing. The American people are a little negligent in their information or gathering of information to know all the details of how the economy goes up and down and everything like that. And one president can't necessarily affect it. They can do some policies that can favor, economic growth or favor economic decline. In fact, I'm really surprised, and we'll probably see something, and maybe Trump's had a hand in this, but I'm surprised the Dems haven't done more to try to damage the economy while Trump's in office. But we still have another year to go, and if you really want the damage, you want all that to happen the year of the election. So I suspect in a long-term prognostication that there is going to be some economic troubles next year. 2020, we'll probably see they don't mind that we're having some of the best growth on Wall Street right now because people are going to forget that because when you get closer to the election, you'd rather have that October surprise come crashing down on your opponents. And I suspect there's going to be something or another that's going to come down right around then. And in between then and now, we've got to deal with umpteen amount of candidates from the Democrat Party. Way too many people up there. They should have a way to clean that out a lot sooner, or at least not give them national exposure. We don't need to see half of these people. They're not going to be there in the end. They have no chance of being there in the end. We already know that at least, especially with the Democrat Party after the 2016 primaries, that they already have things in place to determine who is going to be their candidate come the full-blown presidential election. Those super PACs really, really favor the ones that the party favors. Let's just say that. Got Bernie up. I couldn't believe the cast of characters that we saw up there. I couldn't even stay that long. It just was after about a third of it, I was like, okay. It felt like I heard this on CNN and MSNBC because we always hear this. It's like the grand talking point. Like they only have one playbook. And then they go to page whatever. It's like the hate Trump playbook, and you zap through it, right? And that's all your talking points. And I feel like that was for the most part, except for the real discussion between Kamala Harris and or Carmel. I don't know how to pronounce her name properly, so if I got it wrong, I apologize. People get upset about that. That's why I come up with nicknames. But people get upset about that too. But nicknames I not only remember better, but it usually is a good barometer on who the person I'm talking about is. So, whatever. We got to take our first time out, ladies and gentlemen. So we will be back soon. Stay tuned. We got more. Hey, Uncle Shady, where are they going? Hey, you, get back here. The John Lebang Show will be right back. Does your house need a paint job, but you don't want to do it? Then call Tom at Quality One Painting. He can handle all of your interior and exterior painting needs. He gives free estimates and senior discounts. Call Tom at Quality One. 313-982-2986. That's 313-982-2986. Quality One Painting.
You're listening to the John Lebang Show.
And it's so much fun. Why you keep talking? Oh, am I not supposed to? No. Oh, back to John. Yeah, so I mentioned in the first hour we had some stuff with my mom recently. Yeah, she had to have some back surgery. And it really was an experience for me, as she went through it all, but being at the hospital and getting a first-hand understanding of how things work in a hospital, because it had been a while. I don't get sick very often, and I don't use the hospital as a means to keep my health in order. One, because I can't afford it, because they just overcharge for everything. And unless you have some really great insurance plan, which they're far and few between, and you can't afford them anyways, unless you're making boatloads of money, then you have to just deal with not going to those places for health reasons. So they load her in, they let us have a few minutes with her, and then we have to go into the waiting room where there's no TVs that show any entertainment whatsoever. There's a few monitor screens to show you the progress of the patient. And each patient is assigned a number, because that's what you are. You're a number to the medical field, just dollar signs. And we're waiting for, I don't know, it must have been 3 or 4 hours. It came up on the thing that she was in surgery, and we're waiting. It probably was like 3.5 hours, actually. And my mother's husband gets a phone call. Oh, we're just taking her in now. So we thought, because they had kicked us out to prep her for surgery, that we were going to, that she was already in progress, because the sign on the monitor said her number in progress in surgery type thing. So when we got that, we're like, what? The duration of the surgery was only supposed to be like 4 hours, give or take. So we're now like, we got to wait that much longer. And it was hard on us, but then I'm thinking my mom, she's in there waiting. You're in that stupid robe they give you, uncomfortable. You're basically naked. They just give you a robe there so they don't have to see you're naked. It's not really for you to hide your nakedness from them. They just don't want to see you're naked. And because most of our bodies, let's be honest, most people that are in the hospital are older, and you just don't want to see a whole lot of nakedness there. So we finally go, the surgery happens, it's in progress. We go down, figure, okay, well, let's go get some lunch, because we might as well. It's going to take a while, and it's already, so much in the day. And you go down to the cafeteria, and nothing, not a thing looked appetizing, and everything was overpriced. Just a bottle of tea was like $2.50. And the meals just looked terrible, and I was just like, yeah, you know what? It's not worth it eating here. And everybody who ate something thought it was below standards, to say the least. But John, what do you expect from a hospital and their food? It's stereotypical. A hospital doesn't have good food. But they charge you a lot for it, just like they charge you for parking. And on top of all that, they overcharge you for every freaking medical issue there is. Everything, they give you all this. My mother told me there were like 10 or 12 people in her room, 3 doctors. Maybe you need them, maybe you don't. The anesthesiologist had an assistant. Do you really need an assistant in there? You might. Back in the day, I think there was for 4 and 5 people I don't know, but because I haven't had many surgeries. I had a hand surgery that there were 3 people in the room. 3 people. And I was awake during it. I had tonsils removed. I was too young to remember much besides eating ice cream after and being stuck in the hospital for a day. Now they send you home. My mom was home 2 days after back surgery, making her walk around. Got to keep going, can't get stiff. I understand that, especially with the back. But the experience was enlightening because there are so many people at a hospital, so much medical personnel at a hospital. And I realized, because before I just saw the medical bills and how much the healthcare costs have increased over the years. But I'd never experienced it and why it is. And I realized there's so much cost involved because they have an abundance of people working. We had people, concierge people, in the waiting room. 4 of them going around every once in a while. Yeah, we know we're overcharging you for everything, but we just want to make sure you're okay. Every 2 hours, you can find out about your loved one and their surgery procedure. To where it was fake. You could see it was fake. The surgery happens, and my mother, she's taken to her room, and here you have a hallway full of, I don't know if they're nurses' aides, what all the people behind the scenes are that work the hallways where people recover from surgery and they get placed into a room for a day or two. I'm sure there's nurses, assistants, whoever. They're all loud. Nobody can rest. I couldn't believe how loud these people were. And I always thought that if you're loud at a hospital, you get shushed. It's kind of like a library. You keep your voice at a minimum. So I don't know. The experience wasn't a positive one for me. Hopefully, my mother's surgery ends up being a positive result, and all that headache with her having to wait around for several hours just to get in there, even though they threw us out. We should have been able to visit with her until they were ready to take her there, but apparently they had something going on where they didn't have instruments or machines or something that was needed for the surgery. And I'm like, now wait a minute, you guys are paid so much money. I mean, it's a premium to get health care these days. You would think that they would have enough courtesy to be prepared, because you as the individual having the surgery, you're kind of vulnerable right there. You're vulnerable. You're at the will of everybody working the scene. And when you don't have the tools at the ready, when you had to schedule this, it wasn't, it wasn't emergency surgery. It was a scheduled surgery, month at least in advance. And they didn't have the proper instruments or tools or whatever you want to call it to perform the surgery. So that time period where we thought my mother was in surgery and they were working on her, there was nothing going on. My mom was sitting around alone in a room. And we, who are supposed to be contacted every 2 hours, according to what the concierge says, it was 3 hours before we found out she didn't even go into surgery yet. And she just went in. So then we had to wait another 3.5, 4 hours after that. So it gives you a better idea of how the medical field is ripping us off, in my opinion. And while they're ripping us off, because that 2-hour wait should be deducted from my mother's surgery. That's my opinion. She should get a discount for having to wait because it was scheduled. Amazon just sent the dude £5 for Alexa swearing at him. This is 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 times worse than my mom had to sit there waiting for this. But you know what you get if you complain? We're sorry, sir. We're doing the best we can. We didn't have the appropriate things in place. Why? Can't get an answer to that. Doesn't matter anyways, because we're still going to charge you, sir. We're still going to charge your mother full price, even though, we screwed up and made her wait 2.5, 3 hours before we even gave her the surgery. Can you imagine the anxiety that a person is going through? I mean, you're already a little nervous about any surgery you would be getting. Then you got to wait 2.5 hours, 3 hours longer because some idiot wasn't prepared. Or maybe a group of idiots that are paid exorbitant amounts of money weren't prepared for the surgery. As long as they make their money, and my mom's, healthy in the end. But see, we've already had 2 surgeries, or she's already had 2 surgeries, and it didn't fix the problem. And in one case, it made it a little worse. So why don't you get refunds for that? I'm just saying, why don't you get refunds for that? You should be able to get refunds for that. If I have a defective product, I get a defective paintbrush at a paint store. I can bring it back and either get a new paintbrush for free or get my money back. And if they screw up and give you the wrong paint on your house and it fails totally, they pretty much pay for the whole thing, including fixing the problem and the labor. But in the medical field, right, wrong, screwed it up, got it right, doesn't matter. We're still going to charge you full price. We don't give you discounts because we made you wait or we screwed up or we didn't get the job done right. Maybe we gave you an inaccurate prognostication of your health issue. Doesn't matter. Guess we could sue you. Anyways, that's my little hospital experience with my mother. It was, I tell you, the day drug on for me, and I know it drug on for everybody else there. My brother, my sister, the kids were there, my mom's husband, state trooper who knew my mother came and sat with us. I couldn't imagine how hard it must have been on her. And just sitting there waiting to go in when you should have already been in. We're going to take a quick time out, folks. When we get back, we got more for you. Stay tuned.
Don't move a muscle. The John Lebang Show will be right back.
With lots of fun and excitement. Yes! Are you in need of commercial or residential window cleaning? Do you need your office cleaned? Maybe custodial work? How about some gutter cleaning? If you do, then call Pane in the Glass. For a beautiful shine that's crystal clear, call Pane and the Glass. You can find them on Facebook at Pane and the Glass.
Hey, man, it's at the bottom of the hour, man. Do you know where your kids are, man?
If you want to contact the John Lebang Show, feel free to send an email to jlebang@live.com. And if you're on Twitter, look him up at John Lebang. And don't forget to go to his Facebook page at The John Lebang Show. Banger. Now here's John.
All right, welcome back, folks. Thank you for sticking with me. One of the biggest weekends we've done in a long time, and we're actually heading into what we would be considered our summer scheduling. So we'll get to the talk about that maybe in the final segment. I wanted to discuss, I've had some customer service issues with some companies recently, and I thought I'd discuss them in case you're considering using their products or buying their products. This is my experience with them, and it's based around their customer service and their products per se. So, first one we mentioned earlier in the first hour, I believe, that we are considering changing up our website provider or website hosting company, because we do all our own work, but we need a company to kind of host it. And it's been really tough for about 2 months because they had an issue where we couldn't see who was coming to our site. We couldn't do anything about it. And every time we asked the company to what's taking so long, what's the problem, and they would always try to pitch us on their new product instead of telling us how they could fix the problem. Now they would give us a workaround, but it was a hassle to do the workaround. And this went on for about a month and maybe 5 weeks at the top end. And then they said they fixed the problem, except they didn't fix the problem. All they did was fix the pathway to the problem. And so instead of coming up with an error message, now you came up with a bunch of zeros, which in their indication, they'd even said, well, we knew it really wasn't going to fix it, but we fixed the one problem. But they told us they fixed it. We get really frustrated, and they kept, every time we would mention, hey, what's going on, they would give us this long speech about getting their new product. So basically they were giving me the runaround, as well as other people who purchased their products. And I had brought up the fact that, well, this is probably, and it was on somebody was complaining that it was taking so long, and I had replied to them saying, this is probably a ploy by the company to get us to get on the new product, to switch everybody over. You know, something fails and they take forever to fix it because they're trying just to get everybody to migrate over without them forcing it on it. So they don't look like the bad guy, right? Because if you force people to do something, then you're more likely to lose more people. But what ended up happening is there was so much more work because a lot of the people who were the ones affected by this problem, they randomly, as they say, came up, was people with what they were considering on the old program. And they were giving us the pitch that, oh, you should just switch right over to the new program because it'll be much more efficient. It's great for mobile customers. And the fact was, okay, how do I do that with my current website? How do I migrate all the work? Because for a person like myself and many of the other people that are affected by this, we have had sites with this company for 15 years. And their answer was, well, you can't migrate anything over. So then many of us were like, well, but you are telling us we have to go to this site. You want us over here because this is such a great site, but I can't bring anything over. So I have to start from scratch. And I'm telling you, as a longtime web designer of my personal website, that's going to take years to do. You're not talking a website that has 5 or 6 pages. Mine is an in-depth website with archives and back pages and all kinds of other things. And the lady who was the representative, we'll call her Elizabeth because that's her name on the message board. She's basically giving me, well, tough cookies, bro. Just go to the new one. Once you're there and you fix it all and you put all that in, it'll look great. It'll be great for mobile customers or mobile viewers. And I'm like, well, I've already made my site mobile friendly because I would check on my mobile phone after I would publish a website to make sure that it was looking good on mobile, because I understand the fact that more people are mobile friendly these days. Well, the pitch came back. We had a debate, and she was now starting to belittle me after a couple of back and forths. So I stopped messaging her, and I just said, well, I'm going to start looking for another provider. Because if you're going to be not only backdooring us into getting on your new program by just making functions disappear gradually, then if I have to redo the website from scratch, I might as well go look at all the options out there. She didn't like that. She didn't like that. But you're forcing me into doing that. So I'm looking into GoDaddy and all these other web providers or website hosting sites to see who's got the best deal, who provides the most. If I'm going to have to redo the whole thing, I'm not going to stick with the same company, probably. They're not even in the top 10 rankings of website providers on the on most of the the Google charts, and all the people who rank these sites. They're not even in the top 10, and in most of them they're not in the top 25. So they may have been good at one time, but I don't think it's that way any longer. And other companies have blown past them, and now we're looking at something new. So if you're out looking for a website, I'd pass over Homestead.com. I would just pass over them and start with GoDaddy or a few others. But GoDaddy, I've checked them out. I did a tester site just for a month, and it was pretty easy to put together. And this is not a free advertisement for GoDaddy. I'm just saying that it was pretty easy comparatively to the site I was working on, or I am currently stuck with, because again, if I have to start from scratch, I'm going to have two sites going at once for a while and then push them together, because I'm going to have to build one site offline for a while till I get that up to speed to match the old site. So whatever. Then we have the program company that I had to buy a program with the aid of one of our biggest supporters. Sometimes people just come through for you, and you can't appreciate them enough. But we got a program, and it became a hassle to put it all together because of the extra work you had to put in, and I had questions because the website wouldn't allow me to do something. So I had questions, and so I'd sent them they don't want to talk to you on the phone, and if you're going to talk to them on the phone, it costs like $15 to do so, and you got to pay them in advance, and then you get a secret code to call the phone number to dial in the code so you can talk to a human being about the problem you've got. Since I didn't want to do that, I sent them, because I didn't think I had to do that. I mean, I thought it was outrageous to charge me to talk to me about a product you're not letting me install properly. Because of a small mistake on my part, I'll give you that. But email address from new accounts to old accounts shouldn't just lock up everything. But it did. And I was trying to get assistance with that. Well, nobody wanted to help me. I sent an email out to them through their customer service hot email chat, whatever they call it. And it's been about a month and I still haven't heard a thing. So I was like, okay, I guess to get quick results, you got to call them, because they're just not going to reply to you when you have a problem, because apparently they don't have customer service unless you pay for it. So I thought I'd do an end run, and I found out their Facebook page, and so I gave them the quick little shout on their Facebook on a message. There, somebody answered. They probably regretted it after about 2 or 3 messages, but they basically gave me the runaround over there. Get this email. It says I did send that email, and nobody's getting back to me. Well, we're really busy. Okay. It doesn't take a month. It shouldn't take a month for a reply. I mean, that's awful customer service. So I'm out of a product that I've purchased from you. I can't use it. And it's because you won't get back to me. But that's okay. This company is Magix Video Programming Company, Magix.com, Magix.com. Finally, I figured everything out on my own. It took a while because you had to figure out certain things that if you're not accustomed to the program, you're not going to do it, right? You're not going to know how to do it. And, I guess they would blame that all on me, user error. But I just thought their customer service was appalling and definitely not worth buying their products in the future. Now, both products, even the video one, is definitely an inferior consumer grade product, and we had to go with that because of our current financial situation. We wanted the good, full blown, After Effects and all that to get going, but we're not quite there yet, and we had to keep the show rolling after the computer issue. And it was a tough month all the way around, and we're rolling in. This will be our last hour before the summer schedule starts. I know in the final segment, we're going to go over the schedule, talk about some final show things that are happening before the summer schedule begins, when that will end, what to expect from the new seasons and everything that's just on the horizon. Way more cool stuff that we'll get to in the next segment, and we'll be right back. Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Because the John Lebang Show will be right back.
After this.
That's guaranteed. Yes.
At Absolute Skin and Body Care, they only use the best laser equipment in the industry so that you receive the best results possible. They'll explain all the procedures in detail and answer all of your questions. Absolute Skin and Body Care. If you're looking for skin rejuvenation, laser lipo, or laser hair removal, call Absolute Skin and Body Care. They're located at 37625 Ann Arbor Road, Suite 105 in Livonia, Michigan. Absolute Skin and Body Care. Their office phone numbers are 248-305-3000. That's 248-305-3000. Absolute Skin and Body Care.
You're listening to the John Lebang Show.
And it's so much fun. Why you keep talking? Oh, am I not supposed to? No. Oh, back to John.
So let's recap what we learned this week. We learned the Democrats are in favor of illegal aliens and giving freebies to everybody that'll vote for them. We've also learned that Jimmy Carter thinks Donald Trump is illegitimate. We also saw that Trump and Putin were having a little fun at the expense of reporters. Trump also showed balls of steel by going to North Korea to meet Kim Ding Dong. First time ever a president's been there. We also learned that face reading AI will tell police when suspects are hiding the truth. We also learned that American missiles were found in Lebanese terrorist camps. A federal judge blocked Trump's use of $2.5 billion to fund the border wall. We also learned that hundreds of Haitians and Africans were wading through the Rio Grande, strolling into the U.S. carrying luggage. We also learned presidential hopeful O'Rourke visited Mexico to give promises to illegal aliens so they would come to the U.S. and vote for him. We learned the Supreme Court shot down a citizen's question on the census. Stocks rose this week, and the Dow looked great, best since 1938. A European heat wave shatters June records. Alexa can get cranky and call you names. Near-death experiences felt by 1 in 10 people. Drag queens like to tell stories, and if they're not there, they're hanging out at Stonewall playing stone balls on the 50th anniversary of the LGBTQXY&T liberation movement. We also learned that a Texas woman likes her cake and eats it too, but then doesn't want to pay for it. Let's not forget the black vultures in Kentucky that are eating animals alive, but the government is protecting them. We also learned that the medical care system sucks, Homestead.com's customer service sucks, and Magic's customer service sucks. We learned a lot this week, and I'm glad you were here with me. So, in this final segment, before we go on our summer scheduling, I'd like to just kind of break down a few things. First off, again, thank you, everybody who's been a constant listener of the show, any of the new listeners, people who have stuck it out here and there, who come back occasionally. Thank you, everybody. I can't appreciate how much you guys mean to me. You keep me going at times when it gets rough. And so, I want to thank you all for that. Again, and then, of course, I want to thank all of our affiliate stations from across the Fruited Plains. We have so many of them. 920 W1 Neapel, WRFN 1025, IRN Radio in Florida, Alien X Radio, Bubba Army Radio, Pipe Creek Radio, our new affiliate, Underground USA, our Las Vegas affiliate, which I can't thank enough. They really do a great job at promoting, and that's Radio Vegas Rocks. Our Chicago affiliate, 24.7, Rat Pack Radio in Florida, Naja Radio in California, Vulcan Sound Radio in the United Kingdom, Get Smashed Radio in Seattle, DBLA in Australia, Tampa Bay FM in Florida, KSCR in California, Digital Revolution Radio in Connecticut, Core Radio IRN in Mount Pleasant, EN5 Radio, all of our affiliates, Radio Love in California. Thank you, all of you, for having me a part of your family. As we went over last week, but I want to reiterate this to you, we're coming up on our upcoming summer schedule. So we've got coming up in July and August are a great deal of our classic radio broadcasts, including Invaders from Alien X, which will be next week. The following week will be A Hell of a Shady Experience and Bangerverse 2. The following week after that will be Bangerverse 3 and Captain Rainbow Civil War. The following week, which will be July 27th, will be Destiny Wars Part 1 and Part 2. Then we'll get into August and we'll have Bangerverse Volume 4 and Shady and the Mystery Freaks. The week after that, we've got Bangerverse Volume 5 and 6. Following that will be Virtual Infinity Part 1 and 2. Bangerverse 7 and 8 will be played the following week after that. The last week of August, you're going to get The Adventures Part 1 and Part 2, which we've been working on in our free time over the last 10 days or so, trying to get it ready so we're in full-blown mode from there. And then we will be back to our regular schedule in September, the first week right after Labor Day, which will bring you episode 340 and beyond from there on out. In the meantime, you can go to the website. That's www.jlebang.com. We'll have archives available for everyone to listen to. Now, the summer schedule will also affect the Banger Music Hour, but not quite in the same way. We're going to be producing new episodes every few weeks, and these will be more theme-based episodes. Our first one, which will be sometime after the 4th of July, will be our Ladies' Night episode, episode 62. From there on out, every few weeks, we'll put out another theme-based episode. If you are interested in what might be happening in the coming weeks and months here on the John LeBang Show and the Banger Music Hour, again, you can go to the website and click on the John LeBang Show link, and it's going to be updated as things are announced. We'd really like to offer a 4th hour. We've just not decided how we're going to do that. And bands, that doesn't mean we don't want you to send us your new music. If you've got it, send it along. You can also do that on the website by registering your band and then sending us an MP3 or WAV file to jlebang@live.com. If you haven't yet, follow me on Twitter at John LeBang. You can also go to our Facebook page, The John LeBang Show, and like it because we like it when you like that page. We'll also be announcing the date for the Banger Music Awards in not the too distant future. We're hoping to put together a fundraiser to help generate enough money to make this the best Banger Music Awards ever. If you want to help out, make sure you like the John LeBang Show page on Facebook and make sure to keep your eye out for an announcement. We've got to get on out of here. So until the vibrations of my vocal cords reach your ears again. I'm John Lebang. Have a great summer, and we'll see you real soon.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff. Tune in again next week. Same time, same space, same station.
Resistance is futile.
Now, welcome to the show, John Isom and Danny Smith of the band Jack Stand. Welcome, guys.
Rock and roll, yeah.
Why don't you give our listeners a little bit of background on Jack Stand?
Well, yeah, I mean, me and Danny we did a little show for a couple of guys, and we decided, we always complained about how bands were sounding out there. So we decided, hey, quit bitching about it and get off our asses and doing it. So we rounded up our lineup, and then we started to head out.
But before that, me and John go back a long, long time ago. We were in a punk rock band, touring around the city, around the states a little bit, and did our number, moved to L.A. That didn't happen, came back, and like John said, we were basically doing a backyard party for my son's wedding. We got the itch and said, let's go. Contacted Brad. We had another singer. He didn't work out, so we got Kent now from the east side, and we're pretty solid. We're playing around the city, and we're happy with what we got.
So, guys, what's the process of writing?
Well, usually the process is, it usually comes with a riff, and then we'll build off of a riff or a lyric idea. And then once we can kind of build it up in the studio, and then we start to elaborate on it, then we collaborate on writing up the lyrics. You'd be laying in bed at 3 in the morning, and all of a sudden an idea will pop in your head. Then you have to, run and jot it down or record it on a recorder or something. But it's really weird sometimes how inspiration will come to you.
Now, what about you, Danny? Do you ever start rocking out a beat and they just start jamming along with you?
It's funny you say that. I do, but they never use it, so. You know how it goes. It's like, wow, that sounds good. Okay, let's start playing with me, okay? Oh, no, let's start with this song now.
Nah, sometimes we'll
No, it's
build
pretty
off.
patriotic, actually, the writing material. John and Ken and Brad are pretty much the main writers. They'll get a lick down or a lyric, and we go with it. They get it, and then we all just join in. It's like, okay, let's do this, or I'll add something. Okay, maybe that sounds better. John throws it in, or a lyric goes here, a harmonica.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much somebody will come up with the bass, and then we all four just jump on it. Kind of like a vulture.
Now, you guys just won the 2018 Banger Music Awards for the Best Music Video for the song Rodeo.
We did. Thank you.
Hey,
Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about that song?
Well, the inspiration is just, just think about going out on the road and playing. It's just the old thing is hitting town to town and getting with the girls what we want them to do, or I suppose what they wanted to do. It's not that we're trying to tell women what to do or things like that. It's just, just doing the theme on having a cool road song. That's all. And kind of wanted to build on some of that and do with a video as well.
A good time song.
A good time song, yeah.
And who came up with the lyrics? Get up on that pony.
Well,
Right next to me.
Yeah.
Clever.
We
really
come up.
clever.
We just kind of, rhyme cat with hat and this and that. And then next thing you know, you got a song. There's a lot of bands getting away with murder out there. I said, geez, if you have multiple syllable words, man, you'll be a god.
What about a future album?
It's in the works.
Yeah.
We do have a bunch of material down. We just have the last couple things we have to do to it. It's the in-house fighting about, well, I don't like this and I don't like that, or let's add this, stuff that should have already been done. It should have been released, but let's make it right and everybody agrees on it and we'll put it out.
Yeah, we've got it in the can, basically, but, we're not quite happy with some of the things, so we're still tweaking it and whatever.
We have 10 songs we're going to put out.
What are the influences of the band members?
Well, I would see like our guitar player, he's like from the guitar players from the 90s, the Corrosion of Conformity, Nevermind, those types of bands. You can tell he got a lot of Zakk Wylde influence.
A lot of Ozzy players.
Yeah, like that. And Kent seems to be more
And he has
of
his own mind, too.
Yeah.
It's whatever you take and run with it yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
it's not just solely that. Like our singer, he seems to be more like the like the influence like Chris Robinson, things like
Old Zeppelin.
you know, or Old Zeppelin,
You know?
that type of thing.
And you, Danny?
I'm more mainstream, you know, like 70s arena rock style. You know, all my drummers, Cozy Powell and John Bonham, you know, people like that, just laid back in the group, you know, just heavy hitters, just, you know, nice pocket stuff.
John?
Oh, me, it's God. I mean, I'm all over the board. But like influences, God, you can go anywhere from Keener 13 AM heavy song rotation to Zappa to Beefheart. You could do all, you know, that was kind of things like the Quadrophenia was a big influence on Yellow Brick Road. Got to even listen to Harry Chapin and listen how he would structure a song lyrically. The stuff's gold. I mean, that's what we try to do is make something a little more lyrically interesting to listen to as we perform.
You know, every time I go to your show, you've got the girls out there dancing like crazy right up on you guys. I guess that's where you get up on that pony.
That's what we want. I mean, to see.
Don't sit on your asses, get up and dance.
It's nothing wrong like with the mosh pits and the, you know, the head banging and all that, but I think there's a need out there to have bands out there actually where the girls can come out there and dance it up again.
I would imagine it's better to see boobs than a bunch of headbangers.
Pretty much.
Yeah, hell yeah. Looks good from where we're standing.
Now, do you guys have any more shows, or are you going to plan a tour?
Well, other than tonight, we just got another show March 24th. But in the meantime, we're supposed to be heading out on the road to Daytona Beach to do Bike Week. We're supposed to do about 4 or 5 dates down there. That's March 9th through the 18th or whatever it takes us to. That's nothing totally in the books, but it's so close.
And that's in Daytona.
Yes.
Daytona Beach, yeah.
Daytona Beach for Bike Week.
Yeah.
But that's our big shows now, and then we'll be back at the Machine Shop. Got canceled last Friday, so we're April 6th. We'll be back up in Flint.
So what are the goals for Jack Stan for 2018?
No, we just want to get playing bigger and better shows. That's the main.
Put our CD
goal.
out,
Well, yeah, on
and
the
get
CD,
you know,
of
and
course,
start
yeah.
our following a lot more than we have right now. There's always the ones that, yeah, you guys are great and we love you guys, and you know, there's always interest, but you don't see the interest, you know. So we want to see the interest now that, you know, people are saying, yeah, you guys are really good. Spark some more interest that people, instead of just saying it, they're out to our shows.
What about your website or social media? How do people look up Jack Stan?
It's www.jackstanband.com. We're also on Facebook /JackStan, Reverb Nation, Twitter, Instagram. I don't know the rest of them, but I'm sure they're there somewhere.
You can tell we're tech savvy guys.
That's right. People can find us. That's
Yeah.
the main thing. And I mean, you don't have to be brilliant to look on something to find us. We're there. It'll pop right out at you pretty much.
Any last comments, guys?
We appreciate all the support that Detroit and everybody else has been giving us. And
Yes,
of
thank
course,
you, Detroit, and everywhere else.
and especially
Florida,
you
hope
for
to see you down there.
for putting us on. You know, putting us on this one more way to reach the public.
Yes, thank you, John.
That was John Isom and Danny Smith of the band Jack Stan. Check out the new book from Derek Shelmerdine.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
It tells the story of rock and roll from its roots right up until the mid-70s punk.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Not just the music, but also the events that shaped the music.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
It includes the backgrounds to recording sessions, singles, album releases, births and deaths, epic concerts, and festivals.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Shelmerdine has made a painstaking effort to document pretty much every event that would prove significant in shaping popular music.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Purchase the book at www.rockandrollunraveled.com. Follow him at Twitter at R&R Unraveled, and look him up on Facebook at Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
By author Derek Shelmerdine.
Available now. Fans, do you need a video for your brand new song but don't have a lot of money? Then contact John Lebang. His reasonable rates, professional look, and fast turnarounds will help get that song off the ground. Contact him at jlebang.com.
You know, if you're getting married soon and you need good entertainment, you need to contact John Lebang. He's got 30 years of experience of wedding entertainment under his belt, and there is no one better and no one cheaper. He's running a special to the end of the year, $500 for your wedding
if you book now. Contact John Lebang by email at jlebang@live.com or go to his website. That's www.jlebang.com. Pane in the Glass, commercial and residential window cleaning for a beautiful sparkling shine that's crystal clear. Call Pane in the Glass Window Cleaning. You can find them on Facebook at Pane in the Glass.